Hey everyone, I hope you're taking it easy and your day has been great thus far. For this video, we'll be continuing through our retrospective review of Imperium Issue 11 for the Warhammer 40,000 setting, and this particular part is the subscription magazine. It was probably released originally back in 2022, I think. Anyway, a few things to cover for this one. One is obviously Issue 11 itself. We do get some hobby supplies. Because I did the subscription, I'll also have a quick look at the actual first included binder, which does look pretty cool, and then wrap things up with a running total of pricing based on the subscription pricing as of 11 issues, without any extras, and pretty much the pricing of all these miniatures, accessories, etc. It is actually quite surprising. Anyway, issue 11 of Imperium. So here we have front of the issue, of course the Ultramarines, with a nice shot of a Librarian in Phobos armor, which coincidentally enough is the miniature that is included. So we'll get a full Librarian in Phobos armor. We will get a included brush. In terms of the issue, pretty much some information about the Librarian in Phobos armor, learn about the Librarius, and psychic powers. Onward into the issue. So pretty much just a quick rundown once again. Information about the Librarian, some lore components, assembly, painting, and a playthrough with psychic abilities. Librarian, basically what they're generally equipped with. Does look very cool. And then, as they usually do with each of these units, there's a nice little battle record that you can do to personalize it somewhat. Going into the lore side of things, the information about the Space Marines Librarius. The ranks. I remember back in the days when these were actually individual models. Maybe not acolytes, but I remember there was a Lexicanum, the Codicer, the Epistolary, and the Chief Librarian as actual models. That's going back a few editions, but there you go. So that'll be interesting to read through. We have some information about the war gear of the Necrons. So Eldritch Artifice. So what do we have here? Some different melee weapons. The Staff of Light, the War Scythe, Rod of Covenant, Dispersion Field, a Hyperphase Sword, and a Void Blade. I recall the Staff of Light. Obviously it's a lot different from when I first saw it back in the day, but there you go. It's always nice to get a bit of information about it. How to build. So we will see the model soon enough. But obviously it's the single model, so it's good to have everything there. So all the steps are included on a 40mm base. How to paint. So they'll be doing a undercoat or base coat in Abaddon Black, followed by the base paint in Macragge Blue. I was going to say because it's an Ultramarines, but that's actually technically a lie. Librarians always tend to have the blue armor, which it took a while for me to warm up to it, to be honest. Using grey here, Mechanicus Standard Grey for the robes. Corax White for some piping and the basing, Retributor Armour for trim and a few other things, and Lead Belcher for a few others. So it's definitely at a point where the model is probably good for basic gaming. Is it what they call parade ready? Probably not. Definitely use some contrast, highlights, detailing, etc. But basic colours are there. It's more than enough. Playthrough, Psychic Assault. So I can imagine, also have the Librarian here. There will be some Scarabs in play, and the Royal Warden, going all the way back to issue 1. So that's very cool. Rules, so the data sheets for the Librarian, the Royal Warden, and the Scarabs. Scarabs can fly. Okay, Scarabs can fly. Scarabs can fly. Space Marines turn on. So the Librarian had the first move, literally did some moving, and appears to have performed Smite. Scarabs are still kicking. Continuing into the assault phase, charge phase, so charge and fight. Looks like the Librarian has done some damage, but taken some as well. And then moving into the Necron turn. Looks like the Scarabs are falling back and disengaging. The Warden is coming through. Initially doing shooting phase, and then back into Space Marine turn 2. Surprisingly, why did the Warden not go into combat? Who knows? I'm not reading the whole thing. Suffice to say, Librarian is still alive, at least at this point. So that's definitely not too bad a playthrough. Obviously with the focus on the psychic powers as opposed to the Librarian's main wargear. A little info piece of the Imperium magazine, and then on to the coming soon. So issue number 12 will go back to some paints. Screamer Pink, Canoptic Alloy, and more importantly, Agrax Earthshade, which apparently is almost like a bread and butter for everyone. And then issue 13 will bring us some more models in the way of Assault Intercessors. So I've already had a few of these, but it's nice to have a few more. Only be 5 of them. I suspect that will count as a sergeant with 4 extras. Either way, that is cool. It's a good way to build out an intercessor squad, at least half one. So that was the Imperium magazine. Now, moving on to everything else in terms of hobby supplies. So obviously the 40mm base plate, nothing too unusual there. But more importantly, the sprue for the Librarian. Small little character sprue, definitely nothing too major, but it does look very cool. At the point of recording this, I still haven't actually had an opportunity to paint, so I obviously still quite weary as to how much of a model I can assemble and feel comfortable to paint. Even back in the day, as I've mentioned a few times, I was very much a bit of a sub-assembly type person. The issue also came with a medium dry brush Citadel. It's not too bad. Bristles are still relatively intact. It's always good to have some of these, although I actually saw the cost of this, and we'll get to it in a minute. It's a bit surprising. Now that that's pretty much the Imperium side covered, because I had the subscription, I have no idea how much of this will fit onto the video. Here's the actual binder that was included as part of the subscription. So very much at the bottom, just Warhammer 40,000 Imperium with a, unsurprisingly, image of a Space Marine or Cycling Ultramarine, and on the back we have a Necron. So that's very cool that we actually get these. In terms of what's inside, so it's pretty much a breakdown of the filing system: collect, read, build and play. And obviously a bit of a timeline by which a lot of this will come by. Oh, this was the paint one as well, forgot about that. There is a interstellar map, so we've got the Imperium, so Segmentum Tempestus, Pacificus, Segmentum Solar, Obscurus, and obviously some more interesting locations of note, Eye of Terror, things like that. Annihilus, which I think there was a campaign around there. Obviously it could be here all day just to look at the planetary, well, interstellar map. On the other side is obviously a continuation of the map. So the Ultimus, Segmentum, and Segmentum Nihilus, I believe. It's obviously a key and information about the era Indomitus. Now, being a binder, we also do get some of these included tabbings as well. Collect, read, build, paint and play. So everything can pretty much be filed away nicely. And each of these filing tabs also had a basic breakdown of what was included. So I have Imperium information, Space Marines, Mechanicus, the Adeptus Auritus, Necrons and Battle Zones. There's that. Obviously they haven't been torn through yet. I probably will. The read filing system, so information about the 41st Millennium, Space Marines, Mechanicus, Auritus, Necrons. The builder guides, which was a good thing. The paint guides, and then the play guides, so tutorials, the rules, which I've said a few times. It's actually nice to have some of these ones, especially for someone who's getting back into the game. And then there'll be some sections very specific to the Marines, Mechanicus, Auritus, Necrons, etc, etc, etc. So that's pretty much the included file. I believe a second file was also released throughout the subscription. So that would obviously cater to, I don't know how many issues are supposed to be in here. This was a 90 issue thing, so hopefully 45 issues in each one, time will tell. But yes, that was the included file, so definitely nice. Now in the event you ever had to go bind your own binder, it's just a 2-ring binder, so it's not exactly an exotic item. Okay, so that was the binder. Now I will put this back into view as to actually have something in the background. Now, as of Imperium Issue 11, which was pretty much, just bear with me, there will be some clicking noises now as I go through spreadsheets. Issue 11 was pretty much the end of this particular distribution pack, I guess, because they always released in 4 issues based on how you ordered. So by the end of this, from a subscription perspective, just shy of 180 Australian dollars. Obviously the first few issues were a little less, and then I think by issues 3 and 4 they became the more standard $20 odd running price. I think it's been a while, but either way, for 11 issues I basically spent $180, once again Australian. Now, going through everything that was included, because there's been a lot of minis, there's been some paints, there's been some brushes, and there's probably been 1 or 2 things I've just had to make arbitrary approximates on, because I think if we go back to issues 3 and 4, we had like 3 assault intercessors and 3 Scorpic destroyers. Obviously at retail you do not get 3 in a box, you get more than that, so I've had to make an approximate guess there. Actually no, I take that back. The Scorpic destroyers I think come as 3. Issue 2 had some Necron warriors, there was 3 of them there. Obviously they don't come as a box of 3. Without boring everyone with the details, so by the end of issue 11, so there are multiple models. There's what, 1, 2, 3, 4, around 7 bottles of paint. I think there's been 2 brushes. The dice aren't included. Haven't included any of the gaming accessories. Basically, hobby-wise, to have bought the paints, the models, generally, and the brushes, almost, and this probably doesn't factor in inflation for like 2 to 3 years. Given current costs, for 11 issues of hobby materials, would have been just under 730 Australian dollars. So that's that 730 standard retail. This is retail by Games Workshop, not if you go to other retailers, etc., where obviously that'll come down. So that's, what did I say? 730 versus 180. There's a few $100 worth of savings already. This is just by issue 11. Now I have seen the actual running cost, at least of the subscription, so I do know what that pretty much approximates to. I have no idea what the actual costings will be by the time I go from issues 1 to 90. But yes, that's obviously within 11 issues. That's an interesting margin variation between just having picked up stuff somewhat passively through the subscription versus if I went out to Games Workshop, picked up every single item. So there's definitely, at least back then, there was definitely a good amount of savings to be had. I think Combat Patrol will be similar. I think the degree of savings has come down a little bit, but it's still there. So I'm still looking forward to hoping to see that release in Australia in the near future. Still no info about it just yet, at least at the beginning of July. Time will tell. So there you go. As of 11 issues, it's basically $180 on a subscription cost versus just shy of $730 worth of actual gaming supplies if bought at retail at standard Games Workshop prices. Yeah, definitely eye-opening. I'm actually glad I kept with this, because obviously it's given me huge amounts of army that I wouldn't normally have. I'll continue to do some of these price comparisons probably every 4 issues in from here, so I think the next one will be at the end of issue 15. Yes, issue 15. Obviously increment every 5 issues there. So it'll be interesting to see how that all goes. Anyway, that's been enough discussion about Imperium Issue 11, some of the inclusions, some of the price comparisons, just to obviously go through that. Maybe at some point in time I will... I was going to say do a short, but that just seems really weird. Maybe I will, who knows. Anyway, time will tell. Leaving it there. Thank you very much for watching this little retrospective review of Imperium Issue 11. Feel free to do the whole leaving a like, a comment, subscribe if you enjoyed the content. It does help support the channel. I do appreciate it. Extra content's also on my Instagram. Feel free to check that out. Slowly building up the 40k stuff. Slowly building up my pile of opportunity as well, but we'll get to that in a minute. But yeah, definitely keep an eye out there. With that being said, stay safe and take care, and I'll catch you all in a future video, whether it's 40k or something else. See ya.